This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
Oh, I say that you should never, ever make something for a dinner party that you are not very comfortable making with like 50% attention. Unless you are a very, very proficient home cook, Don't try a new recipe for the first time when you're having a bunch of people over.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Chelsea Fagan is the CEO and co-founder of The Financial Diet, a must-read newsletter that helps people get better in touch with their finances. Chelsea is also a passionate dinner party host and guest and has written a savvy ode to having people over. That's the title of her new book. In this great conversation, we talk about etiquette, cooking tips for hosting, and we dip a little into personal finance too. I hope you enjoy this episode. Chelsea Fagan, welcome to This is Taste. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, it's so nice to be here.
Before we get to your book, I want to find out where you're dining out in New York. I have to know.
Goodness. Well, last night I went to Parla on the Upper West Side. Excellent, excellent pizza. Great vibes. Excellent soft serve.
I love that combination.
Pizza and soft serve.
It's really...
And good cocktails.
And, wow, a triple threat there.
Triple threat. I recently had an absolutely wonderful dinner in the bar room at the Golden Swan in the West Village. I don't know if hadn't heard of it. I just sort of stumbled across it, and that was really, really wonderful. But yeah, I would say I live uptown, so a lot of the dining I do is like not particularly cool.
Well, I mean, cool is a relative term. It's a
That's true.
Construct. And honestly, Uptown is having a revival, I feel. It's in Upper West Side is having a revival.
So I live in Morningside Heights, which is, I don't think there's ever been a cool restaurant in my neighborhood, and there never will be, but that's part of why I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice place to live.
It is beautiful.
It's not we don't need to have a restaurant in every corner of our neighborhoods here in
Where
New
do
York.
you live?
I live in the Hudson Valley, so I have very few restaurants. I used to live in Carroll Gardens. I had a lot of restaurants. And honestly, when restaurants leave your life, it's not necessarily the worst thing.
No, I love the Hudson
Because we
Valley.
like to cook.
We do like to cook. Famously, my manifesto is like, get back in the house. Stop spending all your money at restaurants. So.
Yeah. Wow, we could go there. I want to get to your book, but just let's talk about this manifesto.
Yeah.
So you're saying home cooking has a lot of I would say benefits, high-level benefits to staying at home?
Yeah, I mean, so my background is in the finance world, right? So when you look at the numbers of how Gen Z and millennials spend their money, and far be it from me to be like, you can't own property because you're buying too much Uber Eats. But there is some of that happening. The amount of money that younger generations are spending on outsourcing their cooking is pretty unprecedented. And even compared to older generations who have way more money, they just do that way less because it was so much more kind of ingrained in people as just sort of a fact of living that you mostly prepare your own food. And to be clear, I didn't write a cookbook. I'm not a chef. I'm not sort of in that space. There are recipes, but I think it's more about understanding that even if you're just assembling something really basic, we do on both sort of a financial but also sort of philosophical level need to get back to the mentality that eating out or paying someone else an enormous premium to prepare our foods and often deliver them is that should be regarded as the exception.
We talk about a lot here on the show. It's like dine out less and dine out better.
Yeah.
And supplement your need for food with cooking and perhaps some, a little more ingenuity than hitting that Uber Eats. And also, to your point, we're paying so much not just to the restaurants, but the platforms.
Yes, which are generally not good platforms.
Not good platforms. You should dial up your restaurant and not use Uber Eats. I mean, it's just truly those are facts just to help the restaurant out more. Are you seeing any trends with Gen Z in terms of dining out? Is it truly just smashing the apps and just letting it rip a little bit?
I mean, among Gen Z in particular, when you see the stats on the usage of delivery apps, by the way, delivery for everything, like delivery for shopping, delivery for groceries, delivery for food, those numbers are explosive, which I think is also kind of coinciding with what I feel to be like a low-grade agoraphobia that's developing in Gen Z, which like to some extent I don't blame them for, right? Like a lot of them had their formative adult years, kind of like very early first adult years robbed by the pandemic. And so there is, I think, a very sort of understandable sociological phenomenon at play where people are much more reticent to leave their homes for any reason, even to see people that they love. But there is just a really, really shocking normalization of spending oftentimes like 500-600% marked up prices to have something delivered. And food is sort of the number one culprit there. Yeah, and when you're looking at your budget and you're paying those kind of markups, it just erodes any kind of like wealth that you're trying to build as a young person. And I think I want to say like there is a nihilism there, right? Like there is a sense of like this economy, and they're not wrong to some extent. They're like, this economy is broken in ways that are so beyond my individual spending, and that's true. But I also think you can sort of walk and chew gum, first of all, financially. Like just because things are more expensive and wages are lower than they were for our parents doesn't mean that we need to like consistently give 30% of our paycheck to DoorDash, A. But B, like there's something like there really is a hedonic treadmill. And once you get in the habit of treating these what used to be extremely exceptional things as everyday occurrences as a baseline, like they aren't as enjoyable anymore. And by extension, very little of your life is as enjoyable. Yeah. I like that you give grace to the Gen Z with this nihilistic, approach to, your financial well-being. Before we get to your book, I just want to ask you about, speaking to Gen Z, many listeners are in that bracket. What should they be doing with their budgets that they maybe would be shocked to find out? Spending less on like private equity owned apps, I guess, would be like number one. But I think another thing that Gen Z doesn't do is negotiate. There are also interesting stats on that. Like they are just I think there's a real epidemic of avoidance in Gen Z on a lot of fronts. And I want to say that I think a lot of that has to do with very real economic factors, but also like there's a level of precarity to the job market that isn't in their heads. But I think a lot of their social skills were really impacted by the pandemic coming out of college or in college. But we're seeing that they're not negotiating and doing things that really put them on the back foot in terms of earning potential. And I think and to be fair, when I got my first job, I'll never forget, can I curse? Please. I had the shittiest writing job you could possibly imagine. And I was offered $36,000 a year full-time, no health benefits, not a livable salary in New York. And I'll never forget, I said to my then boss, I would do this job for free. So far be it from me to say that, I was a master negotiator at that age. But I do think especially with the abundance of information that we have now about our various industries and, our endeavors, we're really cheating ourselves by not advocating for ourselves, and avoiding that moment of discomfort can cost us enormously.
So you did work at Gawker, it sounds like.
No, but we did get written up on Gawker a lot. Like we would, it was like Twitter days. So I just remember anytime like my mentions were taken over by just people making fun of me. It was like, oh, Gawker probably put up one of our articles.
Oh, yeah. So that's just a joke of like the media industry and those salaries, because those are real salaries. And, they haven't gotten like so much better. A little bit of unions, unionization helped in the media industry. This episode is brought to you by Our Place. Are you still using that set of pots and pans bought on sale at Bed Bath & Beyond during the first Obama administration? It might be time for an upgrade. I recently went on a search for the perfect saute pan and landed on the Our Place website. I liked how their cookware looked, minimal and functional, with a color palette that matched my own aesthetic. And I really liked that they make better kitchen products that are simply better for you. Our Place makes high-performance, toxin-free cookware. It's that simple. Their products are made without forever chemicals like PFAS and PTFEs. I had to Google that, and man, that stuff is nasty. So you can cook confidently without wondering what's in your pan. Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. That's FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. This episode is brought to you by Tempo. Now, we are all really busy this time of year, and cooking sometimes is not an option, though we crave a healthy, creative, home-cooked meal that an Uber Eats delivery or slice of pizza isn't going to satisfy. Tempo is a smart solution. Creative and always interesting, arriving at your door, perfectly portioned for lunch and dinner, and ready to eat in 2 minutes. Now, I recently gave Tempo a try, and I was super impressed. It's great. The pork chop and green beans with roasted garlic potatoes was exactly what I wanted after a busy day. And the grilled chicken with apricot barbecue sauce, man, that sauce was tangy, and it gave me all the lean protein I was wanting after a crazy day of podcast recording. With 20 meals available for delivery each week, mealtime is never boring. And for those macro counters out there, Tempo is a smart option. For a limited time, Tempo is offering This Is Taste listeners something pretty amazing. 60% off your first box. That's 60%, which is pretty close to free. Visit tempocooking.com/taste for 60% off your first box. tempocooking.com/taste. Rules and restrictions may apply. We talk about health a lot on the show. Protein maxing is all the rage. We're on the NA beer train, of course. And probiotic sodas, some call those millennial Metamucil. But I want to talk about skin health for a second. Everybody should be thinking about skin health. It's important, and I look to OneSkin, the world's first skin longevity company, for a little help. Now, I've used OneSkin's OS1 hydrating sunscreen for walking around New York City in the blazing sun.
Producer Clayton chiming in. Matt and I used OneSkin during the recent bakery half marathon we participated in. It was a lot of running, a lot of pastries, and a whole lot of sun. Our stomachs might have taken a hit, but our skin was protected with OneSkin.
By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co. That's 15% off using code TASTEPOD. I appreciate going into those topics off the jump because I think it's a nice segue to having people over, given that, Gen Z and millennials are spending more time at home. If you're spending more time at home, why not throw a party?
For a lot of reasons, I think people feel very anxious about making themselves vulnerable in that way. What if no one shows up? Which is real, right? Because there's the flake epidemic is crazy. I'm doing my last video of my little 30-day series for the book today, and it is about that. Unfortunately, that is real. People, especially younger people now, feel absolutely no hesitation to say they're going to do something and not do it. And that is I mean, devastating. Like, I think we need to be honest with ourselves that putting ourselves out there socially and running the risk of other people not meeting you there is really, really hard to deal with. So I think that's number one, is that people feel anxious that it won't be reciprocated. But I also think that people really imagine that entertaining in the home is this very sort of expensive, elaborate thing.
Yeah.
And it is very much not that. And in fact, 90% of the time plus, way less expensive than going to a restaurant or even getting food delivered.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think the book really outlines so many benefits to thinking about your home as a place to gather.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it's very smart. I think there's great recipes in it. But also, it's just, it's like a bullet by bullet way to throw a great party and think about guests and be a great guest. I like this topic. I think this is great for our show. You know, what can hosts learn from restaurants when planning their parties?
Oh, that like 90% of it is presentation.
Yeah.
I mean, also it's like including a lot of fat and salt and sugar in their food, which is something I advocate in home cooking. Like if you're having a dinner party, like you can't be counting calories.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
100% agree.
Just have fun. But a presentation is a lot of it. Like you can put a bag of Tostitos scoops and a jar of salsa on the table, but you could also put those chips in a bowl, put the salsa in a bowl, and take 5 seconds to garnish the salsa with a little fresh cilantro and jalapeno or something. And like, you have instantly elevated the experience to something that people will look at and be like, ooh, this is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And that's the most basic form. And I think you have many recipes where you're doing elevated dips and other dishes. I always like to think that you can fix a mistake for a dinner party or for a larger gathering by just like explaining the food, right?
Yes.
Just like explain it, and which is part of presentation. If you mess something up, like just maybe sell it a little better to your guests.
Yes. Also, another thing from restaurants, like, for example, like people on my videos all the time will be like, I am vegetarian and I consistently go to people's houses and just sit quietly because there's no food I can eat. Like,
Yeah.
one thing that people will automatically do when you sit down at a restaurant is ask if there are any allergies at the table, any dietary considerations. Like, you as the host should do that. Like, make sure if you're making something that everyone can enjoy it. I think there's, a truly devastating lack of communication in our society generally. But I think one of the areas is like, we don't even take the time to just check in about very basic things that make the entire experience so much better.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. I think just being mindful of your guests' dietary habits, or just in general having a diversity of food there. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be fancy.
No. And in fact, kind of shouldn't be. Like, I feel like I feel like we have this we're in a weird place. I think we're getting out of it kind of now with food culture, but I feel like there was like a period of food culture where food was like very popular, but it was like, I mean, what is the joke? It's like, Astrid, you've barely touched your like miso gochujang noodles or whatever. Like everything I think was like very contrived for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, why does everything need to be sort of, I don't know, a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I think contrived is the word, but also I mean it's a bit pretentious.
It's pretentious, or it's like virtue signaling via
Yes.
social. I think that you're trying to like give everyone your true your ethic as a person, as a home cook, with every dinner party dish.
Yes.
Right.
And like, by the way, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying like if you are from a, culture that has a certain type of cuisine that is pretentious. I just think that there was a kind of a spate of trends in the food world that were, people of a certain social class who were creating this food world that I think even to those of us who were pretty avid home cooks still felt a little inaccessible because the food felt so cool and so like, ooh, interesting. We're not doing it. And I point the finger at Brooklyn.
I love it. Yeah, we can definitely do that here.
But, and like, it's, to me, it sort of dovetails a lot with like the small platesification of restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there has been historically, and I think now we're sort of moving back out of it with kind of like on TikTok, for example, I think more of a democratization of food.
Yeah.
But I say all of that to say, like, whatever your mom was making when you were growing up that doesn't feel particularly cool or interesting but feels nostalgic to you, like, that's the kind of food people want to eat when they come over.
I think there's a fine line here. I think there's definitely enthusiasts in the kitchen and real like project cooks and folks who just are really nerdy about food that may come off as pretentious, but it's truly just like digging in the books. There's that group. It may be in the minority. It's hard to tell. But like then there's the group who are just like, doing that viral recipe because they want to gram it. And then that's the frustration I hear in your response.
Well, and I think... Listen, I think that there's a time and a place for everything.
Agree.
For sure. And I do have friends. I have a friend whose husband is a professional chef. And like, we're always getting some truly quirky things when we go eat there. And it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But I also think that the sort of the high-end contentification of food for a while was really was really kind of scaring the average home cook because there was this feeling of like, if I'm just doing the basic thing that's not particularly interesting, that's not got these very sort of professional chef feeling techniques or flavor profiles, is that even worth serving to someone? And I do think it's important to remember that it is not about the individual dish that you're serving. It is about the experience that you're creating for someone. And it sort of reminds me of like, it used to be a weird sitcom trope that you would have someone over for dinner and make a souffle that falls in the oven.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, like that's crazy to me that was such a trope, but it does kind of signify something that I think is still a problem today, which is that people feel an outsized pressure to make something very special.
Yeah, don't do the souffle for a dinner party. Like straight up, like do it for like your own like family and do that experiment. I think it's like a little bit about the news cycle of recipes.
Yes.
That's a real thing. Like the New York Times has done such an incredible job with the app and with just the pages where I think a lot of people, they get the most recent New York Times Magazine column, or they get their most recent, what's at the top of the feed on the app, and they want to make it. It's like literally they're not digging in the cookbooks. They're not thinking about what I've made 3 times, but like I need to make that one thing. And then it's like kind of difficult to make that new thing. Do you share this opinion with me that like for dinner parties, you should like actually cook something that you've cooked before?
Oh, I say that you should never, ever make something for a dinner party that you are not very comfortable making with like 50% attention. Do you know what I mean?
100. We are aligned.
Because
totally.
Otherwise you don't enjoy your own party. Like,
no.
Unless you are a very, very proficient home cook, don't try a new recipe for the first time when you're having a bunch of people over. It's so stressful.
It cannot be said enough. I think you want to have an enjoyable moment. Make things ahead. I think that's part of your book. You write that very beautifully in the book. Chelsea, take us through a general, I know this is a broad question, but like a dinner party for yourself and you're hosting, just some ideas of how you can do that recipe that is not going to depend on 100% of your attention.
100%. So rule number 1, always have some kind of appetizer out when people arrive already.
Yep.
By the way, a board, a plate, people love when you just cut things into pieces and put them on a plate.
Fully agree.
Like, it's incredible. And you can do that with almost any food. And it's, a tinned fish plate sounds very fancy. You're just opening some sardines and putting some crackers down. So I think, that is always really sets you up for a great party, is just have that stuff out when people arrive. I rarely make my own appetizers. I usually just have prepared foods, or at most I'll do like a homemade dip ahead of time and then just put it out. But I always focus my attention on the main course. I always do a beverage station where people serve themselves drinks that is labeled so people can kind of take care of themselves, because it's just not very fun to feel like you have to be cater waitering your own party. I will usually focus on one main dish. As you say, usually something that I can at least partially make ahead of time. And then lastly, I always outsource at least one course. I am lucky to have a lot of friends who love baking, but even the ones who don't, I always outsource dessert because I'm not a baker. So either I will say to a friend who loves baking, would you mind covering dessert for this? And they love it because it's fun for them too. Or like they'll just pick up, cupcakes or a tart or whatever on the way over. Yeah, my number 1 rule is like, if I'm going to the time and money of throwing a party, I damn well better enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that sentiment. Fully agree with you. And I have a couple follow-ups. First, this beverage station is smart. even for like a 6-person party, having a beverage station is nice because you get distracted and you always want to have a drink in hand when they arrive. That's like my kind of North Star with hosting. What's a good setup at the beverage station?
I always do at least one batch signature drink that does not contain alcohol, but I put it out with spirits so that people can spike it if they want to. This is like a small thing, but like I think I was like talking about this the other day. Like I feel like we've gotten to the place culturally where we understand that like some people don't drink and that's fine. But I think we need to get to the next level, which is like don't make people disclose. Like I'm a woman in her mid-30s, which means like at any given time, like several of my friends are pregnant, you know what I mean? And like maybe don't want to disclose it. But also like people may just not be drinking for whatever reason and they shouldn't have to like state their preference, I think. So giving people discrete options that allow them to make the drink that works, I think is great. I always have a little garnish station so people can garnish their drinks and make it feel fun. And then I always put out like one example of everything I have in the fridge with like a little label that says drinks in the fridge.
Yeah. It's the perfect way to do it. And I agree with you fully. Forcing somebody to disclose their alcohol preferences is just kind of rude.
Yeah, and it also really puts people on the spot. I just think that we need to get to the place of neutrality with that.
Yeah.
Also, like some people just prefer weed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's valid too.
Yeah, and
so
that's
like
valid.
I don't like weed myself, but I always have, edibles and a vape.
Very nice hosting. I think I appreciate that. I think having like, dad grass around, a little bowl of it, hanging out.
You got to do it. Although I once accidentally sort of dosed my friends because I will sometimes for larger parties, because I have several friends who are sort of Cali sober, if you will. And it's legal in New York, by the way. This is legal. But basically I put out this little plate of edibles and I just labeled it edible. Exclamation point.
Oh.
So several people didn't realize they were drugs.
Whoa. You just wrote edible with the
learned my lesson.
Damn.
So a couple people were like,
What did you do, Chelsea?
Scotch to the couch.
It's funny. I want to also follow up on this idea of bringing prepared food. I think giving guests grace to bring something that's made is exactly right. What's a great pre-made to bring to a dinner party that you have encountered in writing this book?
So one thing I love to do is pick up breakfast pastries for the host to enjoy the next morning.
Yeah.
That's always a hit. Love a tart. My number one rule is don't bring anything that could potentially like conflict with the meal or like that the person would feel like obligated to serve. So I feel like also I love bringing like jars of like nice olives, nice olive oil, jams, things
Lovely.
that are, that sort of serve a longer purpose. Also, I think there's something really nice about like really fancy crackers, nuts, things that keep really long, but you can either put out immediately or you can keep for another party.
Another point in the book that's so important is like do not try to force your dish into the flow of the meal. Even if you're like the best home cook, don't like say, "Oh, I'm going to bring something," and it be like a main or even a vegetable side that may clash with the plan.
Can I tell you? I think I have this anecdote in the book, but like I have seen some truly, horrendous guest behavior, but none more so than like, I know sometimes men go on fitness journeys that like really preclude them from eating most things, which is truly none of my business. But this man showed up to my house party. I didn't really know him like that. He was a colleague of my husband's. He brought his own rotisserie chicken, his own like gallon of water, and his own like supplies for a smoothie, and like started rooting around in my kitchen while I was cooking to like make himself his little like creatine dinner, and then was just picking out a rotisserie chicken.
That's wild shit.
And I was just
wild
like,
shit, man.
Leave.
Oh,
please leave.
What's the industry your husband works in? Let's just get out of him a little bit.
He's in tech.
Okay.
He's in tech.
I was going to say finance 1A and tech 1B. So those are my guesses.
Well, he kind of works on the border of those two things. And let me tell you, one thing I cannot stress enough, not only does hosting / being a good guest not cost money, it is often the richest motherfuckers who show up with the worst manners. Like the number of times I've had people who I know personally are worth in the 8 figures who show up empty-handed for a house party. grotesque.
Yeah, I think that's just good behavior, is to always bring something. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be homemade. It just brings something. Just bring something. It's I think like there's like that frat house, like house party mindset that people just don't grow out of, and they're in their mid-30s and they just think, oh, we're just showing up to a party. But it's like, no, we're adults here, guys. We're adults.
Also, like, if I recall correctly, even when you were at that age, you would show up to a party with a bottle.
Yeah, you'd always have a bottle. It could be off the $10 rack or whatever. Just bring a bottle. Yeah. Interesting social science here in this book. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. I love this book because I think you offer a lot of really cool ideas. I would zoom out and just talk about, the idea of the dinner party and, social media brain rot and how the dinner party on social plays out in so many different ways and how we are so obsessed with documenting our parties that we sometimes like lose the plot.
I think similarly to like the sort of epidemic of like the very, very contrived viral recipes that I think ultimately put some people off of cooking because it felt too intimidating / pretentious. There's also been a rise of home content creators who here's the thing. So I've been doing a 30-day series for this book, which is like the most I've ever put my actual like life and home on social media.
Yeah.
Harrowing.
Yeah.
Harrowing.
Yeah, because your work is in financial advice and just like helping people with their financial diet and so this is new for you.
To a large extent, yes. And like what is harrowing, I find, is like the first of all pressure to like turn your life into content. Horrible. But also like suddenly you're looking at your home and everything feels imperfect and you see the flaws and people pick at things in the comments and you like, for example, I posted a video about making a beverage station, dozens of comments about how I need to buy an ice bucket. Something that, to be honest, hadn't really crossed my mind. I just used a ceramic bowl for ice, which is working just fine. But it was like, I was like, ooh, this is like, I see very easily how sort of the act of exposing what you are creating immediately opens it up to such a higher level of insecurity and self-criticism. And it also explains why, like for me, as someone who really does love entertaining in the home, decorating my home, it really is a passion of mine. I had to go out of my way to basically mute or unfollow every single account where like the person's brand is their home and their job, because not only is it incredibly unrealistic from like a financial / sponsorship perspective, like half of that stuff is like paid for, but also like there's such a pressure to constantly be turning things over, doing something new, doing something better. Yeah. And to me, what is so special and sacred about entertaining in the home is that it is a 3-dimensional, 5-sensory experience that can never fully translate to a photo or a video. And so the constant sort of rendering of your own space and life, that's why I prefer to follow magazines and things like that, because at least there's a clear separation of church and state.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just in magazines, it's clearly this is all aspirational.
Yes, it's not real.
It's not like in the feed, it feels a little too real, especially when it's being blended with literally real things. Like,
yes.
So it's more confusing. And I like that idea of just like thinking about editorial as being the place that maybe you should be looking to more than these influencers. Yeah.
Because I genuinely, well, first of all, a lot of them need to get their children the hell off social media. Like, why am I seeing your underage child in your content? Let's start there. But moreover, I do genuinely feel, and we've done video essays about this before, like it is very bad for mental health to turn your private personal life into your full-time job. I started on YouTube in 2015, 16, which is like the OG YouTuber days. Almost all of them crashed out. Almost all of them like went offline, stopped entirely, because the sort of act of transmuting the life that you're physically living and economically living into an endless source of new engaging content it's almost inherently at cross purposes. And so I do feel like I know a lot of these people, these women, especially personally, who, you know, their lives are so aspirational and so beautiful online, and they are very depressed.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the actual, you're plotting your life like it were a film or a screenplay.
100%.
Like literally in home offices, you see like note cards up on a wall about what my life is going to do for the next 6 months for content.
Like
can't be healthy. Can't be
No.
healthy.
And again, like the pressure that it puts on you to consume, like there's this one, I just mentioned Philly Apartment, and any of my girlfriends who are like kind of interested in this stuff will be like, I know exactly who you're talking about. There was this online creator who went viral because she has a beautiful apartment in like downtown Philadelphia that was just like gorgeous, very aspirational, whatever. She like moved, she bought a home in the suburbs of Philly to go live in that home with her family, but kept her rental in downtown Philly just to make content out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, diva, like we have lost the plot.
Yeah, it's losing the plot. How did you survive YouTube then? How did you come out the other way? Or was it maybe not that clean and simple?
Because my content since inception, like we started as one of John and Hank Green's channels, and they have educational channels. So it has always been explicitly about education, commentary. You know, it's a large, I mean, not large, but like there's 7 staff. So like it's more than just myself. We have, you know, a lot of people writing, producing, things like that. But like I've never had, you know, my husband on the channel, my family, my friends. Like it's not about my life. And I think that like there's some of me, but I do think that to take it back to this content online, like there is a very distinct shift when your value proposition is look at how fabulous my life is.
Yeah, you said it so well. You're not all down on social media, and I love the sentiment at the end of the book where you talk about following older influencers and maybe returning to the Nancy Meyers of it all. I thought that was a really nice sentiment because I think you are undoubtedly going to stay on social, even if you take that break.
For sure.
So we have to have some real talk. It's like you're going to be following influencers. It's highly entertaining and engaging, but maybe you have a suggestion of maybe a different way to follow for home entertaining.
So as I say, I like really go out of my way. We're actually doing a new podcast starting later this month where I interview women over 50, generally not even really women who are particularly online, but, you know, who've just lived some life and have some
It's wonderful.
tales to weave. But I do think that there is, you know, a really inherent youth obsession that comes with social media and a sense of scarcity and a sense of competition. And I think that seeing people who are at a different place in their lives, who come from a different generation, who've been through a lot, just by dint of being on this planet for a long time is incredibly valuable, I think, especially for women, because we tend to sort of get squeezed out of public life as we get older. And as it pertains to community, you know, one of the things that's really striking to me, and we talk about it in the book, is like the reason women are so much happier as they get older and happier in divorce is because they have friends. They have really, really strong social bonds. They have profound platonic relationships that they curate and cultivate. And I notice that that's even stronger in the older generations. And like several of the women I've been interviewing, like they went through, I mean, truly like life upending divorces, for example. Like one of them, her husband essentially like robbed her of nearly like between $500,000 and $1 million that she'd worked her whole life to save. And, you know, her friends all swooped in to carry her through that period to I mean, they literally came over physically and like moved her out of the house and, you know, same day. They literally even emptied out half the pantry because they're like, half this flour is yours.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But to me, like that is the most compelling reason to, even when it can feel like an extra bit of homework in a life that feels kind of overextended, all the more reason to invest in our relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It's a really great sentiment. I think we all are seeking those types of relationships in some way, some more than others.
Yes.
and be it through religious organization or a sport or just being, maybe it's your office. But I agree with you. Forming those bonds later in life really pay off.
100%. And by the way, some kernels won't pop, right? Like that is, I think we're also deeply afraid of rejection, more so now than ever, I fear.
100%.
And people are really afraid of investing and then not having it reciprocated or being rejected or being, in some way turned down or not valued. And like, ultimately, like that kind of is the cost of entry a little bit. Like you do have to run the risk of that happening. Like I, to this day, even as someone who wrote this book, who does this stuff, like I throw parties and every single time there's some flakes. You know what I mean? And that I think you have to get used to and also embrace that like the ups and downs of these relationships and the imperfection and the vulnerability of forming these relationships is part of the human experience. And feeling a little sad sometimes is okay. And feeling wanting to become friends with someone, putting yourself out there. I always say like part of the reason I think especially Gen Z struggles to make new friends is because it's hard to accept that the early stages of making a new friend is kind of like dating. Yeah. It's a little awkward.
Well, on that note, I have two people in my life, one younger, one same age as me. So, millennial and Gen Z. They used the platonic dating app to find friends.
Yes.
And they had great successes.
Some psychos on there. But
some psychos on all apps. But I think, some people don't realize it's even a thing that you can actually find friendship on these apps. And it's you can find cool people on there and for a platonic relationship.
1,000%. And I talk about this in the book, but like Gen Z's drinking less, millennials are drinking less. That's fine. And bar culture to a large extent like isn't great. Like there's a lot about it that's like expensive and draining and whatever, like kind of, sad by moments. But like the answer can't be we don't go to the bars so we go nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we need to take it upon ourselves to find other things to do. Like I don't disagree that like decoupling social life from alcohol is an important thing. And that's something clearly boomers got a little wrong. But when you actually look at like the net numbers, like we used to ascribe false health benefits to moderate drinking.
Yeah, I know.
When you look at those numbers, it's actually that most moderate drinking occurs in social situations.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of benefits to those social situations that are falsely ascribed to drinking.
Yeah.
And so like, listen, I think we all know boomers who are like low-grade alcoholic and like don't even acknowledge it and like can't even fathom a social life that doesn't revolve around alcohol. Clearly that's not something we need to carry over, but the answer can't be just scrolling on our phones 8 hours a day and like being a total sort of recluse in our social lives.
What's the activity then? I mean, for real, like I'm really curious what aren't we seeing that maybe is a great way to have these relationships that are maybe outside of the alcohol paradigm?
Well, first of all, let's get back in the home.
Yeah.
Why are we not like literally doing like the number of things that people tell me about the rituals and things that they've created in their home, make up a holiday, make up a thing to like, on the first day of fall, we all get together, we do little arts and crafts, we, watch a special movie, we all do a potluck. Like some people are like, I have soup Sundays where we rotate and like we make a soup at a different person's house. Like we do board game nights. I have one of my dear friends she runs a Dungeons and Dragons club out of their home. Like there's a million things to do in the home. And it's generally a lot less expensive. But also, like, join clubs, join meetup groups, like, do activities. Like, I always say that, like, the value that you often get in terms of friendship from joining an activity outside the home, whether that's signing up for a class or learning a new language and going to language groups or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
A political group is a good example. Like, the actual connection is more based on the fact that you're all the type of person who will show up to something like that.
Agree fully. It's just showing up as like 90% of the thing.
90%.
Yeah, fully agree. And if you're with a community of people who show up to things, you're going to be like-minded in that simple fact that you showed up to a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also socializing with people of different cultures, of different age brackets, of different walks of life. Like that is something that I think a lot of people, like I love to do canvassing, like door to door.
Me too. I'm a huge fan of that. Yeah. Love it.
Solidarity.
For a lot of reasons, I love that. Anyways, we don't need to go politics, but, it's just a great social experiment.
And you get to spend time with people that you would otherwise never encounter in your day-to-day life.
And especially when you do it in your neighborhood. You get to meet people in the neighborhood. I feel like the showing up part of it is so important, and we have to just put ourselves out there and just go to the thing. Go to the thing, guys,
Go to the thing. And don't let a doorman gaslight you in these nice neighborhoods. You have a constitutional right to canvass.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is so much fun. I feel like we could talk all day about social science, and maybe you'll come back and we'll talk more. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
This episode is brought to you by Grow Therapy. Have you ever tried to Google therapist near me? Just the act of typing those words in a browser can be so stressful on its own. I once went on a hunt for a therapist and found myself with a dozen tabs open with LinkedIn profiles and Instagram accounts of people I just didn't want to know. Grow Therapy makes it way less overwhelming and way more affordable. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits your needs. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. It's that easy. And you can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your own time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/taste today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/taste. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan. This episode is brought to you by ButcherBox. As a food writer and cookbook author, I'm always cooking up a storm in my home kitchen. And while my pantry is well stocked, and I make it to the farmer's market for seasonal produce, and perhaps a few photos for Instagram, I'm always struggling to find the perfect cut of beef, pork, and chicken to cook for dinner. For real, my local Stop & Shop's meat section just isn't cutting it, and our local butcher shop is frankly pretty scary. That's why a ButcherBox subscription is such a lifesaver. My freezer is always packed with premium grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, and wild-caught seafood. I recently pulled out a 3.5-pound boneless pork butt from the freezer and was braising it in no time. Soy sauce, mirin brown sugar, oyster sauce, low and slow. It was delicious. For nearly a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free. As an exclusive offer, our listeners can get free protein in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first box when you go to butcherbox.com/taste. Visit butcherbox.com/taste to get this limited time offer and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/taste. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
On This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a rapid-fire Fast and Furious taste check. Chelsea, are you ready?
I'm born ready.
The best fruit.
Pineapple.
Love it.
You can grill it. You can braise it. Al pastor.
Oh, yeah. Great
Pineapple
call.
upside down cake? Come on.
You're just naming so many great foods there. Worst vegetable?
This is an unpopular opinion, but I'm really not a big fan of eggplant.
It's
To
popular. It's tough hang.
Well, I mean, it to be both tastes and sort of has the texture of like a dirty sponge.
So true. What is your typical breakfast?
Coffee.
Really?
I don't eat breakfast. I was one of those people who was just never hungry in the morning since I'm a little girl, and I used to force myself to eat breakfast, and then I felt sluggish all day, and then I was just like, actually, I don't need to do this.
The best dessert?
I would say anything. Honestly, I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say a babo rum.
Interesting. We had a guest on recently. Do you know babo rum is Polish and not French?
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Where's your source?
It's a beautiful book called Dobre Dobre, as an aside. But anyways, great call.
Yes, and it has to have like a really fresh, beautiful baba and fresh homemade whipped cream.
Yeah.
To me, whipped cream, like fresh, good whipped cream with like the flecks of vanilla that's like almost at the borderline of butter. If it's that, it's perfect. If it's out of a can, boo.
Yeah, boo. Unless it's like straight to the mouth at Thanksgiving, and that's I can give that endorsement. Is there a restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead?
Yes, they got rid of Frankie's Spuntino in the West Village, and I used to love it.
It was great.
And now I mean, listen, I live uptown. I can't go to Brooklyn for dinner.
Yeah. It
Love
was a
and
really
light.
great restaurant. It's funny. I weirdly it didn't work. The one in
know
Carroll
how.
Gardens is so prolific.
Their sausage and sage butter pasta.
Oh my God.
I still make all the time.
Cavatelli, so good.
Great for dinner parties. Easiest thing on the menu.
Yeah, certain pastas will. I mean, that type of pasta, like a cavatelli, you can definitely. It doesn't have to be alla menu. It's not like you're doing cacio e pepe, which I think is like the worst dinner party pasta.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Like
That and risotto.
Risotto is really bad too.
Not a pasta, but
But in the zone, I think you have to find a pasta that holds up on the table for many minutes.
yeah, you can't be getting those like gummy ones. I would put a carbonara in there too. Like a carbonara that's been sitting out is a little not
anything
great.
that has like an egg component or cream will break and solidify.
Or get gummy.
So I think that is the sage brown butter. I love that pasta.
By the way, gemelli is the pasta shape.
That it's a gemelli. Oh,
It's a gemelli.
At Frankie's.
It was, I think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong,
had it
but I
as
have photos.
I've had it as cavatelli. I've had it as other things. Do you know that they have those flavors on pizza form at F&F in Brooklyn?
What is F&F?
So it's Brooklyn. I'm sorry to say, you're not going to. You're going to Brooklyn like twice a year.
I do go to Brooklyn exactly twice a year. Well, okay, I used to live in Williamsburg.
Sure.
That wasn't for me.
You put in your time.
I put in my time. No, but it's honestly just more that like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like in New York, because it's such a, and by the way, this is not just in our heads. It's like 10 times the size of Paris geographically. It's a massive city.
It's big as Chicago.
For like, if someone lives in Flatbush, I'm like, Diva, that's Philly. You know what I mean? For me, from where I live. So for me, it's like either we're meeting up centrally somewhere in like southern Manhattan, or I'm like, I feel like I'm like on the deck of the Titanic. Like, I wish you well over there. I won't see you very often.
So F&F is a pizzeria in Brooklyn. They do a cavatelli in slice form.
Wow. Wait, the pasta noodles on the pizza?
Well, no, not the noodles, but the flavors of it. They've done that before, and it's amazing. So
because that's an unpopular thing, but I hate when people put like mac and cheese, grilled cheese, or like noodles on pizza.
I've gone back and forth in college. There's a place called Ian's that did it really well, but honestly, not my favorite thing either. Yeah,
Where'd you go to college?
Madison, University of Wisconsin.
Oh,
They did like a mac and cheese pizza that was quite good at it.
Midwestern King?
Yeah, dude. Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
West Michigan. You're Philly, though. Not though.
No, but my parents lived in Philly for 6 years.
Yeah.
And that was going to Flatbush for me.
It's true.
I love Philly. I go to Philly all the
Philly's
time.
the best.
Great food city.
Great food city. When you're craving fast food, where are you going?
Ooh, you know what one of my favorite questions to ask people is compose your perfect fast food meal.
Oh, good.
With like fries from here, burgers from here, drink from here.
Oh, let's recast it. Let's put you on the spot because you asked this question
God.
on your show. So give me 3. What's the perfect meal? It doesn't have to be coursed out. Could be.
Coursed out.
Could be coursed out.
Shake Shack burger.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A nuggets. Checkers/Rally's fries. A deep cut, but
I
if
feel
you
like
know.
this question needs to be stolen.
What about
for
you? You have
this
to answer
taste.
it.
Oh, I have to answer too. I'm on the spot. Quarter pounder with cheese, McDonald's.
Wow,
100%.
crazy.
I'm going to say something controversial. Shake Shack fries.
Listen, I love a crinkle fry.
I love the crinkles. They do it for me.
Good
Especially,
cheese sauce, too.
And great for dipping, exactly.
Yes.
They're for dipping, and I think they should definitely be. And then I have to like represent Taco Bell. So I think for like a middle course, for me, it's definitely double decker.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the middle course.
You're like, that's funny. I will say Baja Blast is up there for the
Baja
beverage.
Blast is so good. I lean Dr. Pepper personally in the fountain, but Baja Blast is pretty great. So
Have you heard about the Taco Bell Marathon?
Oh, we've been discussing it off mic. So Clayton and I ran the bakery half marathon.
Wow.
Which was in New York. We ran
I know your stomachs were torn up.
eight bakeries we covered on the show. But this Taco Bell, it's a 50K. It's 50K.
That's a true marathon.
Yeah, it's a little bit over. And honestly, And I think the rules are very cool that you have to, I think within the first 10 miles or 10K, you have to go to 4. And then they have like menu items that you're required to try. Are you a runner?
Hell no. God, no. My husband's running his first marathon this year, and I've told him it will be his last because even being a marathon spouse is like...
Oh, you're giving up. So what's the game plan for food after the marathon? Have you talked about it?
Our friends are hosting a party. So,
Wonderful.
So all of our friends are coming to like watch him in the marathon. We're going to dress up. We're going to like be out there cheering. And then our friends / neighbors we're all going to head over to their place and they're just going to do like bagel spreads, all that
that's
kind of
nice.
stuff.
That's fun.
My husband, I've been very clear with him, you must at least say hello and then you can go.
Because he's doing time. He's like time guy. He wants that time, so he's not going to be.
He's a little into the time, which I think is a mistake.
It is, especially if you're first. Just get it done, man.
I love armchair quarterbacking physical endeavors that I will never engage in.
No, it's great. I think it's cool to have and it's great to have a gathering at the end of it. Exactly.
100%. And by the way, I will say this is a last thing I'm going to say on this, but everyone I know who like does marathons, they're falling apart at the seams.
It's tough.
It really is like kind of bad for your body.
I ran one in my 20s and I gave it up. I do halves now. That's it.
Yeah, but that's like way better.
Yeah.
I'm constantly sending my husband videos of like doctors being like marathons are bad for you.
They're tough. It's you should do a video. You should do that.
I will.
You really should. It seems like something to dip into with your husband at the center of it. Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Favorite city outside of America to visit for food? Marseille.
Oh, wonderful story. I love that. Why?
Oh.
No, I'm a huge Marseille fan. I love it.
So I, lore drop, spent half the year in France. French was my second language growing up. And then I married a French man. And I'm not a huge Paris person.
Yeah.
I think Paris is actually one of the most overrated cities in the world. Not that it's bad. It's just for the amount of hype that it gets, I feel like France has a lot more to offer. And to me, Marseille is a superior city for food and for basically everything else. Like, yeah. I'm a southern France girl.
Yeah, you go to Cassis, you go to all the places around, the parks
Cassis.
around there. Love that shit. I mean, it's
yes.
beautiful part of France that definitely, weirdly, you still get that strange, maybe older person is like, Marseille is dangerous.
Well, and it is to an extent.
I mean, so is other cities in America.
No, but like, here's the thing about Europe that I will say. You are just constantly getting your shit stolen in a way that they do not do in America. I think because we have guns. But like in Marseille, like I know like everyone I know has been pickpocketed there.
Yeah.
I had something stolen there. Like you will get your shit stolen.
Yeah, I had my shit stolen this summer.
Other city is Naples.
Oh,
which
cool.
is the Marseille of Italy.
Beautiful city too. I have to plug Gay Olden for gelato. Gay Olden, so good in Naples.
Which, by the way, can I say this? Everyone when I was going to the Amalfi Coast was like, skip Naples, go to the Amalfi Coast. I've never hated a place more than the Amalfi Coast.
Yeah, I fully agree with that sentiment. It's
awful.
You're just getting paid. I mean, go to Umbria, honestly. Like
anywhere.
Go to places.
Go to Calabria.
Yeah, I mean, have you been?
Yeah, it's like the best.
I mean, we'll go a little off mic because we're getting long with this, but tell me about
Sorry.
Calabria. No. I want to, for our listeners, I was in Italy doing a culinary tour, hosting one this summer, and the guide was like,
slay.
She was like, don't go to Calabria. It's so crazy. And I'm like, I need to go to Calabria.
Oh my God, wait. Were you with Elizabeth Minchilli?
No, I was not.
Diva.
Yeah, no, it was not. It was with, we do these tastes. I was with Mauricio Leo, and we were having a wonderful time in Emilia-Romagna for 2 weeks. But our guide, she's a very northern woman, so I give her the grace there, but she was like, don't go to Calabria.
What? Calabria is like the best region of Italy.
I know. I read about it. After she said that, I literally was on my phone for an hour reading about going to Calabria because I was like, this needs to happen.
I will also say, as much as Amalfi was like a complete tourist trap nightmare in summer, I was in Tropea, Italy for a week in height of tourist season. Nothing but northern Italians because it's kind of a bitch to get to.
Yeah.
You will be nothing but Italians. Excellent food, not overpriced, beautiful scenery. Could not endorse it more.
Yeah, I think Lecce and Puglia as well is one of those cities that has a ton of Italian tourists, very few American tourists, and just a beautiful region of Italy.
Lucca in Tuscany, excellent smaller city.
We started with Marseille and we ended up in Italy, in regional Italy. I love that.
Also, lastly, because this is where I spend my time in France primarily, Arles. Go to Arles.
Oh. The beautiful, the famous artists.
So fabulous, Van Gogh chopped his ear off.
Yeah, I did. So you spent half the year in France?
Yeah, well, so we've been sort of inching up, and now it's May to September, starting this year. I'm also doing like retreats and stuff there now.
Last one, your favorite sandwich?
My favorite sandwich? Ooh. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say a really good BLT on toasted white bread.
Yeah.
Buttered white bread. What about you?
Buttered.
Not buttered, but like, like
but
mayo.
With mayo.
Like toasted, like glistening white bread.
It has to be. Number one is banh mi for me.
It's like the one sandwich I don't like.
Fair enough.
I've tried to get into it.
Fair enough. I'm not going to try to sell the banh mi. I could, and I have.
Sell it.
I like that it is polarizing because I think it has like deep love for it when it's that polarizing. I love the BLT as well. That we drafted sandwiches a couple of years ago, and that was in our top 4.
Also, I must shout out in my neighborhood a little shop called Roti Roll, Frankie's. Mm-hmm. They do these just unbelievable little, roti rolls.
Yeah, roti rolls are great.
Unbelievable.
Great call.
Worth the trek.
Chelsea Fagan.
Hey.
Really fun having you on the show. Please come back. It would be, we have so much more to talk about.
I agree. And listen, I famously live very close and have nothing to do. So
I love it. Thank you so much.
I'll be back.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.